Hello, everyone, and welcome to A More Perfect Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Kate Hill, and she is the author of the brand new book, The Art of After: How to Turn Your Grief into Art. And I've known Kate for a little bit, and this just seemed like an amazing book to talk about and to let everyone in the community know about. So, thanks for being here, Kate.
Thank you so much for having me. I remember we talked about doing an episode with my first book, but when you reached out to me about this one, I was like, absolutely. Like, I'm so excited, but also nervous to talk about it because it's such a personal project, but
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. So how about we start with just giving us a little overview on what this is all about.
Sure. So I lost my dad when I was 13 years old. He died very suddenly. And so grief has been kind of a huge muse, I guess you could say, in my life around the things that I've created. And it's also given me a lot to think about in terms of, well, how do you manage grief? How do you create with it? What can you actually do with it? Because everybody always talks about how you never get over it, it's always with you. And the thing that I have always done to help transmute grief is to create art with it. So my first book was a lot about that. The protagonist does something like that. And then in this one, it's 13 exercises or experiments that help the reader to take their grief and transform it into art, whether that's a poem, a book, painting, whatever it is. There's examples for all of that. And it kind of also breaks down grief into the myths about grief, grief being a doorway, the rage behind grief. So it's kind of like essays, and then there are these experiments that go with it.
Awesome. By the way, I forgot to mention it. We also have Rashay here today. You may remember I'm not used to having a third person on my interviews. So I was like, when I'm doing the introduction, I was like, I realized right as I started asking the question, I'm like, I totally forgot to introduce
No,
the third
I'm
person.
just happy to be here. Mike told me about your book and he was like, do you maybe want to like help me out with this interview? And I was like, I looked it up real quick and I was like, this sounds interesting as AF. And should I cuss on this? No, it's not for children.
Doesn't matter.
And I love the concept of it. And I had so many questions for you. And at first I was like, well, I can't draw stick figures, so it's probably not a book for me. And then I realized you were talking about not just like literal physical art, but also like performance art or literary art. So I'm just really excited to be here and get to talk to you about your book.
I'm so excited that you're here too. Thank you. That means a lot to hear
Yeah.
that. So
what kind of ways did you use art to get through your grief? Like how did this whole thing manifest for you?
it really started with, I would say, music and journaling. Music was always something I had on in the background because it takes you somewhere else. You know, I would say escapism has been a huge part of my journey with learning how to cope with these kinds of things. I think escapism has its place, you know, like obviously we want to confront things head on when we can. But that was really important. And then I've kept a journal since I was very little, like 5 years old. So it's always just been sort of a habit for me to write about everything I'm feeling. And there's something really magical about physically handwriting something and getting it out on a page. And I know, you know, a lot of people love their phones and doing things digitally, but there's just something about writing in particular that is incredible. So those are the two ways. And then I would say because this happened at such a young age, I developed a very rich inner world, a rich inner imagination. And so that was kind of an escape as well. That one's harder to explain, I guess, but that's, I think, where the alchemy comes in because I talk about grief as alchemy in this workbook. Because we're all alchemists, we're all changing something into something else all the time. It doesn't have to be art, you know, per se. It can be feelings too.
Yeah, I love the concept that grief is it's the catalyst that turns sadness into something beautiful. You know, I think that's really uh like profound. My question, just to piggyback off of Mike, is this something, I'm assuming when your father died, you were given tools and resources like therapy to help handle it. Did that ever happen? Were you given that?
No, I was not. So that's kind of a huge part of why this kind of work means so much to me, because no one ever asked me if I was okay. Like,
Oh my
I didn't
goodness.
really have th therapy. Like, I was out of school, I think, for 2 months because I was 13 when he
Hmm.
passed away. And, I remember, like, one of my classmates even was like, "It's been 2 months, why isn't she over it yet?" You know, that kind of thing. And so,
Teenagers are brutal.
yeah, they
They're the
they really
worst.
are. I was like,
What?
you know, "F you, whatever."
Yeah.
It real there wasn't a lot of outreach, and, I didn't have the family either that had a language around knowing how to nurture in that. So, I
So you
did
had
later in life,
so
but
you
at that
had to
time,
do
no.
this, you had to create this way of processing your own trauma on your own from scratch.
Yes. Yes, and
Oh
that
boy.
all translated into music, art, writing, singing, dancing, like, everything artistic is
Mhm.
where I channeled that.
So did you ever, like, was there a point before you got into using art as a way to process your grief that you just kind of stopped and then you realized that's what you needed, or did it automatically just flow into writing and creating?
I think that's just kind of automatically what happened, and I was very lucky in a way because I sort of learned how to build this resilience around loss and around needing to find a way to keep going and to help myself because, no one else was helping me. So, that was kind of a huge reason I wanted to write this workbook, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who do not know how to do what I did when I was 13, 14, whatever. Um, and so that was the whole genesis of this thing. I was like, I really don't want other people to feel alone in that process, and hopefully this can help them do that.
So obviously we're in a time of extreme stress, a
Mhm.
time of extreme even grief in some ways. Would you consider this book to be something that people that are going through things other than grief that's kind of like what you are going through, could you see that being helpful for them as well?
Absolutely, yeah, because grief isn't just necessarily about somebody close to you dying, right? Or a bad breakup or something, which I do talk about that in the book as well, bad breakup being something that fueled my first book, actually. Um, but grief can also just be loss in general. I mean, we all went through COVID, and there was a tremendous amount of loss and grief there. And I think it can just apply to hardships in general too, because hardship implies that you are going through something difficult, and that's there's grief there too. So it's something I think everybody feels, even if they don't know that they're feeling it. And the best way, in my opinion, to transmute all of that is to create with it, because grief endings, it's associated with death, right? But you can't have death without rebirth and things beginning again. And that's exactly what the creation process is. I'm going to create this thing with something that has died, or, you know, and transform it. And so that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, and I feel like right around now, there is a lot of grief for a lot of different reasons. Right before we started, we were talking about the grief that people were feeling over some choices that are being made by this current administration, and
Mhm.
sorry,
Yeah,
that face was
I
great,
tend
Roche.
to try to not even. I don't know, like, I know that we followed each other on TikTok for a long time, and there was a period of time where my TikTok like blew up and I got a lot of followers on there, and it was mostly geared towards the Roe versus Wade stuff and politics and stuff like that, because I was just so angry, again, like creating something from that rage. But then at some point I was just like, oh God, not this again. Like I can't interact with this.
Yeah.
Mhm. I get that. I think what a lot of people don't understand about those of us who feel so frustrated and upset and scared about what's going on is that we are experiencing a form of loss and uncertainty. Like we're losing the the safety net that we felt like we were in. Not saying that America was great before. I'm
Mhm.
saying we kind of had a normalcy, and when something changes and your normal day-to-day life is different, there's something that's extremely upsetting about not feeling the safety of knowing what's going to come next, right?
Mhm.
And trying to explain to somebody that it's not just politics, because there is real like loss of autonomy and loss of a feeling of safety that's happening, that I think so many people don't realize you should be trying to process this grief as well.
Mhm.
Because right now you sit there and you get mad and frustrated because you want to do something, but you're just one person and you're not a politician, and you can't go and protest for hours because you have, a chronic illness or what have you. And so you feel helpless and angry. Holding on to that is not going to help anyone, especially you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so processing it and channeling it into a productive way through art, I think it's a beautiful solution.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think I talk about this a little bit in the book too. This idea that we all have this inner flame within us, and our only job in life is to not let it go out. And that as long as this flame is burning, you can do anything you want. And I think because we live in a world where everything is so connected and it seems like there's nothing but bad news, um, it's the most important time it's ever been to create our own light in us first and live that way, because it's not going to help to constantly engage with all the bad that's going on. Like sometimes you just need somebody to come along to write a book that just like really makes you cry, or it uplifts you or something. And I think that's part of the reason why there is so much derision and fear right now, is because they want us to be, because they know that if we are not in tune with our own innate power, then we will be afraid and cut off from our own power in a way. So I think that's incredibly important.
Just talking about the idea of art and being creative, because we were talking about Roche and I were talking about this earlier. I've been doing content creation for 10 years now, and in so many ways content creation is, obviously it doesn't feel like it when I'm just making a video that says, look at all this horrible stuff that's happening, what the hell. But there are times where I get to be creative, at least get to feel like I'm being creative. And it's a way of just expressing what I'm feeling in a way that's for some reason easier. Because honestly, writing, not a fan of. Art,
Mhm.
not really a fan of. Talking, making people laugh, doing something funny, or singing. Music is my thing. Uh,
Mhm.
being weird is my thing. I just like, that's kind of fun for me. So
Mhm.
it is interesting to think of all the ways that you can be creative to get that. Now, I would not suggest everyone do what I do and put themselves online for the rest of the world to potentially pile on comments, but there's nothing wrong with the idea, at least that I can see, of
Mhm.
using video even as a way of getting those creative juices out.
Yeah, I mean, you're still making something, like speaking, I mean, it's why it's called spelling, just speaking in general creates things. We're creating something right now, having this conversation. And I think part of the creation process that's very important, and this is in one of the exercises in the book, to find what it is that you actually want to say. Because if you know what you want to say, that helps you to channel that into a medium, like whatever it is that speaks to you most. And like you said, for you, that's podcasting, TikTok videos, speaking, and that's going to be different for everybody.
Piggybacking off what you just said, I had a question. In your little synopsis for your book, it talks about I want to make sure I have it right. You talk about, I thought I saw the word mysticism, right? And how you use, there he goes, the art of after bridges art, psychology, and mysticism. And I saw you mention things about ritual, myth, and things like that. I know that unless your mom was a Wiccan or a witch, usually you aren't raised with that in your repertoire. Like, how did you stumble into that, and how did you learn to work it into your art of creation and processing trauma and grief?
So I've always been intensely curious about almost everything, but religions, spirituality, um, Wicca. I even studied Wicca for a bit. Um, just always trying to find out why any of this exists or why we're here, which, I don't think anybody has that answer, but that started when I was quite young, probably around 11. But religion has always been a huge part of my life. Like I'm not practicing anything. I believe that there is something, but I don't subscribe to anything. Um, but that really came about in biology class, funny enough, because I went to this Episcopalian school in the South. And they would not allow the teacher to teach about creationism. They were really angry about it, actually. And
Wait, the Episcopalian Church didn't teach creationism?
sorry, I said that wrong. They didn't let him teach Darwin's theory
Okay,
of
evolution.
evolution
Got
because
it.
they were all creationist.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. I was
Um,
about to be really impressed. I'm like,
yeah, no.
that's right. I was baptized Episcopal when I was 8. What?
Yeah,
No, okay.
no, yeah,
Back
sorry.
to being
Again, I'm
disappointed.
better in
It's fine.
writing than speaking. Yeah, no, they wouldn't let him teach Darwin's theory of evolution because they were creationists because it was an Episcopalian school. And so somebody asked him point blank, "Do you believe in God?" And he said, "I don't know." And for whatever reason, ever since then, I had this insatiable curiosity to be like, well, what is it then? Because I know there's something. What is it? And yeah, I did study Wicca for a little bit, and alchemy in particular has always been very interesting to me because, again, it's not just like literally turning lead into gold. It's also taking rage and turning that into joy, or taking words and making them into a poem. Um, and I genuinely do believe we all have that ability. So it's always just been this fascination I've had ever since I was like, I would say 14 at this point. Like I don't know if you ever heard of The Secret by
Oh boy,
but
have I
like that
heard of
was
The
my like
Secret.
entry point. I was like, okay, interesting. And
I
then
remember thinking that The Secret, I was captive audience forced to watch it on a bus with my show choir. Don't
mhm.
judge me. Um, one
I was in
time,
show choir. I love that.
sweet, yeah. And one of the parents was like, "We gotta watch this," which was funny because
Mhm,
it was a bunch of Mormons and then me. And I remember
mhm,
just being like, "This is such bunk." And now, as I get into learning more about energy and how like intention isn't just wanting things, it's literally like changing your electromagnetic wavelengths and stuff, and how and everything has a resonance, and essentially how things that were previously considered mysticism or witchcraft or what other word you want to throw in there is just
mhm.
essentially, in my opinion, science that we haven't figured out yet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's happening
And
all the time too,
yeah,
because there was just that story that came out that was like, actually time folds in on itself and it affects the past. And this is like quantum theorists are talking about it. And it's like, okay, mysticism has already said that for a really long time. So yeah, it's just proving a lot of these theories.
yeah, yeah. And I like the concept of um, your book not having like for so many people who are victims of assault or any other kind of large trauma, a lot of what you're going to get when you walk into a Barnes and Noble and go to the self-help section is going to be really heavily Christian coded. And for
Mhm.
somebody who might be struggling with religious trauma, or somebody who was never raised that way, or somebody who was raised in a different belief, that might be really off-putting to them. And so I really like the concept that you have something that works in the concept of something outside of yourself, but not necessarily this uh, Christian ideation of it.
Mhm.
I think that's awesome. And it opens up your, like, what you made to so many more people.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I never ever want to be the person to tell others what to believe or what to do with their lives. I could not care less about that. I just wanted to share at least what I have learned and package that into something that has helped me. And if it can help other people, great. And then, yeah, I genuinely believe that we all have the answers within us at all times. We don't need outside voices or resources to tell us. I think it's all there already, but we just get so cut off from it. And the creative process, I think, is one of the best ways to tap into that.
I was just sitting here thinking my inner voice is just all messed up, so I definitely could.
You gotta listen. I feel like so many of us deal with that all the time. Like, it's messed up, it's screwed up, it's bad. Like, be kind to yourself with your words.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you've got a word spaghetti in your brain right now, and a lot of it is conflicting because sometimes you're feeling inadequate or overwhelmed or whatever, but that doesn't, like, turning those into negative views of yourself is not fair to you, because I see somebody who's an amazing person who's incredibly hardworking and wildly resilient in the face of stuff that I straight up have been like, nope, and shut my computer for 6 months because I can't handle it. And you're just like, every day you're just back into it. So, like,
This was not supposed
maybe
to be about me here,
I'm
Rashay.
saying, I'm saying,
We're,
get
This
we're
her
applauding
this
the
book.
is
book
not
right now.
supposed
I'm
to
saying,
be
what?
that kind of a podcast.
What I'm saying is, get her book and maybe work
No,
through some of that negative self-talk.
I wonder, Mike, have you ever, since you like to speak and use microphones, have you ever just opened up your voice notes app and just spoken to it, just whatever comes out?
no, and I'll tell you why. Not because I haven't tried. Uh, I get this weird thing that happens when I try and speak on my own. I will walk. I'll go for like long walks, and I'll think about something. I just, whether it's picking a topic or just something that's on my mind, I'll think through it, and I'll think of something. I'll say that sounds really good. I just want to put this. I want to put this on tape or on video or whatever and have it. And then I hit the record button and it all goes away, and everything that I thought is just gone. So
I wonder what that is. Yeah. Yeah. There's I think there is something in the book too that talks about that where it's like you just get very very quiet and you try to center yourself and allow whatever wants to speak. But then I wonder for you, like, and not trying to turn this into,
it's
whatever.
fine.
But like I wonder for you if you were to be like, well, what does that want to say? This silence that happens. What is that? What is that? What does that want to say? And that maybe that's
I
the
feel like I should be
thing.
on a couch right now, just
I know.
leaning back,
I'm
being
so
like,
sorry. I'm not a
It's
therapist.
okay. No, it's fine. None of us are therapists. That's okay. But
Well, hold on now. I'm just kidding. I'm not.
you didn't tell me that.
But I think that would be really interesting because, like, that's the thing about, grief and loss. Not saying that that's what you're experiencing there, but these blockages that we have, once you know what that is, I feel like that unleashes so much more for us to create with and to understand about ourselves as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might absolutely be right. Now I'm, after this, I might just go over and cry a little bit. I don't know. You never know
Hey,
what could
maybe
happen.
that's what you need to
Maybe that
do.
is what I need.
Maybe
Let's
what
be
it
fair. It
really
probably is exactly what I need.
Maybe what it is, Mike, is every time you have an idea and you go to say it, there's this part that you're not giving a voice to that's telling you all of those negative thoughts that you're keeping bottled up. And you just need to say them out loud so that you can hear how stupid they sound and then you can move on.
Maybe.
Exactly.
And I'm not calling you stupid. I'm just saying all the
No,
negative
I
thoughts you have
hear it.
about
I hear the
yourself.
stupidity. It's fine. It's okay.
Okay, one more question I wanted to ask. Do you have an example of like an exercise that you can share with us that people would find in the book that might be helpful that, I don't know, like maybe we could try right now, just like a little prompt or something?
I have it here on my Kindle. Let me go ahead and flip through it real quick, and see what sticks out to me the most.
She's trying to get me to work through this. This has become, I'm going to be getting texts. I'm going to be getting texts now for the next month about this.
So how do you feel about that, Mike? Why don't you tell me how that makes you feel? You won't be getting texts from me. I'm starting that new job on Monday.
Oh, that's right.
That new old job.
I'm still going to get texts.
I guess the reason like I'm having a hard time thinking of something is because like if you guys had something specific in mind that you wanted to create from already, then we could definitely apply one of the exercises to that. Like for example, one of the exercises is grief as an element. So it's kind of thinking about if this grief or this loss were air, water, fire, or earth, what would that look like? How would it be expressed? Like if it's fire, is that painting with a lot of red colors, or is that getting on a punching bag? Is that fiery words that you want to just say into a voice note or a podcast mic? Is it something a little more
definitely
ephemeral
think of a lot
and
of
strange?
fiery words to say?
Is it something more strange, like just moving your body in some way? Because that's a huge thing with grief too, is that we don't move our bodies and it needs to move. So it's like, okay, fire, if I were moving that, how would that feel in my body? If I were to, so there's like so many different ways that you could alchemize that, but if you have something in mind, like what element would that apply to?
Like the way that you said that is so perfect because it like automatically popped something in my head and then I automatically knew exactly which element it would be. And then every time you were like, how would you paint that? I'm like this. If I had the ability to paint, which I can't, but or like dancing, like even if you're not that good at dancing, just like moving your body in like a really aggressive way, like that's so. I know this sounds insane, but my mind is blown right now just with that one example. I'm like, wow, oh my God, I never thought about like, how does that pain feel? Like, how does it transmute into an element? Because there's also trauma that feels very watery. There's like a loss of someone feels like air, like, or, and that's cool.
It's interesting that just that whole idea as you were talking even made me think of those people that, words have tastes to them. I forget what
synesthesia.
Yeah.
The people who have synesthesia.
Yeah.
I mean,
so cool.
It's just I love that idea because it sort of forces you to think more widely with it, I guess. I would love to hear what yours is, Rashea, if you wanted to share. You don't have to, obviously, but I like to use water a lot. Like I love taking baths and I'll just make a ritual out of it. I'll have a candle and some music, and then I'll just imagine the water taking everything away with it. Or I'll go to the beach or something, and that helps a lot.
It's really cool. Well, for me, like the one that came to my mind is probably one of my more significant traumas, probably is my first sexual assault when I was in high school. And it's funny because my immediate feeling is like fire because it feels like such a swift violation. And whereas water can erode the earth slowly and air can erode the earth slowly, like fire sweeps quickly, right? And it's sudden, and then there's also that anger and that feeling of loss of control, and fire is out of control. And then, like, if I think about the trauma now, 20 years later, I can't do math, like just under 20 years later, it feels more like wanting to wanting to breathe and like regain control.
Hmm.
And so like I'm like seeing already my whole trauma process and everything all the feelings that I felt and how it transmutes in different ways when you're in different stages. Like now it's
Hmm.
like I want to take a deep breath and I want to like sing in a big chest voice
Hmm.
and like really ground my sound all the way through my heels.
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it's really interesting because it's something I never put it into terms like that.
I love hearing about that. I mean, I'm obviously so sorry that happened. I love seeing hearing people's stories that they've been through, and then the resilience that so many people have getting through these things that have happened to them. And something that I really hope people understand with this kind of work also is if you have the bravery and the willingness to go through it, there's joy on the other side of it. There's something that comes in that's like, oh my God, I can breathe again. I'm alive right now. And I feel so much better. That's why I say in the book, it's like grief needs to move. And so it's it's a lot about finding ways to help that to move because there is joy at the end. Um, and I just thanks for sharing. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for being the creative mind behind it all. That's just really cool, I think.
Yeah.
After my first paycheck with this new job, I will be buying this book.
It was interesting while you guys were talking, I was sitting here. I don't know if it's trauma, but it probably is the more I think about it. I've always been that friend that that is the rock for every other friend's trauma.
Same. I get you. Yeah.
And I never let myself break out of that rock, even when nobody's watching. I mean, it's hard because I'm always on camera, like probably far too much. But
Mhm.
I was thinking about how the fact that I don't ever like I just let the weight just sit there, and then I'll like, curl up in the corner for a little while, and then I'll get over it, and then I'll keep going because what other choice do I have? And
Mhm.
so it was interesting. Like I was sitting there like, okay, what element would I be? And there's part of me that thinks it's like fire because I just want to scream and
Mhm.
swear and do everything else to someone for a little while and be not the person that is the calm for everyone else around me.
Mhm. That's that resilience coming through, that so many people have to develop. But I mean, maybe that's the answer to what
I
you were
need to do
saying
some axe
earlier.
throwing, I think.
Yeah. Axe
A
throwing's fun.
rage room. A
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
rage room.
My
Take
daughter
that,
wanted
rock.
my daughter wanted to go to a rage room so bad.
Dude, I did it one time and it was the most cathartic thing ever. I was holding a piece of rebar and I hit a treadmill that was in there and it bounced back off and hit me in the shin.
No.
I
Oh
was
no.
so I was so in my like I was so zoned in. I didn't feel it. And then I got
Yep.
home like an hour later. I was like, "What's this giant goose egg on my leg?" Like it's honestly 10 out of 10 recommend. Sometimes creation looks like destruction. So,
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Axe throwing is really fun too. I absolutely recommend
yeah.
that.
Wonderful.
But maybe that's the answer to what you were saying earlier about when you sit down to do a voice note and then nothing comes out because, you were the one who was supposed to listen to everybody else's shit all the time. And now it's like, what do I have to say? I don't even know,
And that might be a generational thing in how society has raised men to feel like they have to be strong all the time and they have to be the rock for everyone. And then just that being the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever felt that I had to. I just always was.
And I think that's how societal norms work too. It's because, I've always felt totally fine being completely feminine and things like that. But if I really thought about it, there were times when I probably would have picked, the more masculine things, but I automatically was just like, nope. And I did the other stuff. And now I don't know if that was like genuine or because I felt like that was what was supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll never know.
True.
We'll never know.
I do have one more question. I know that in general, the idea of this book was inspired from the loss of your father when you were 13. But what kind of inspirations, just in general, did you have for? You've obviously written a book before this, and then this one. What kind of inspirations did you have in your life that kind of got you to the point of, I'm going to write these books? Like, who kind of are your inspirations?
I really feel bad for saying that I'm not entirely sure. It just feels like something that I have to do. It just feels like something that I don't know what else to do other than to write something with it. And then, that will become whatever it becomes. But it's also just been in consuming other people's creations in media of being like, well, I want to make something like that. The main inspiration that I think I have, though, that again, I don't really even know how to put into words, is a feeling that I've always had. It's this, like, everything's connected sort of blissful feeling that I want to take that and channel that into what I make. And if I can imbue what I make with that feeling, then that's it. But it's hard to explain. But I would say that's been the main inspiration there.
That's really beautiful.
And then also being a child that, wasn't really able to speak or to create, it's like, well, now I can, because I've reclaimed that. And so I'm gonna make things.
That's awesome. Do you have any more questions, Ruche?
No, I think that this was like, I mean, just such a beautiful opportunity to talk to you. And somehow I walked away learning something about myself, which is, I know that's like the whole point of your book, but boy, am I just so elated. I'm so excited now. Like, I want to read your book. I want to like go through the exercises and see like what comes out of it. 'Cause I just think so many of us have never connected the dots of using like this angry, unsettled feeling to do something productive when we feel like the only thing we can do that's productive that matters is protesting. The only thing we can do that matters is telling off your dad who, wasn't in your life. The only thing you can do, and it doesn't have to be that. It can be for yourself and no one else. And I think that's just so beautiful.
Yeah, I really want people to hear that they're not alone in what they're going through, and that it begins here. It doesn't begin out there, it begins here. And that's the most important thing to know, is that it doesn't matter what's going on out there, I can create it for myself. But I'm very appreciative to talk to you guys. I've had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I love anytime people want to talk to me about stuff I've made. So, yeah.
Well, again, the name of the book is The Art of After: How to Turn Grief into Art. And we will put the link in the description below on where you can get this book and Kate's first book, Under the Same Sky. Kate, thank you so much for spending this time with us and letting us get to hear about this new project you put. And thank you for bringing me on my own therapy session, I guess. I was not expecting that when we went into this, but
Same time next week, Mike?
I guess same time next week. Yeah, thank you for spending the time here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And
yeah, thank you. It's great meeting you.
Yeah.
You as well, Rochelle.
Thank you for everyone who got all the way to this part of the episode. If you like what we do here on A More Perfect Podcast, please consider liking and subscribing. We're here. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on TikTok. We're all over. We do a lot of work about having these kind of conversations, these kind of discussions. We want to encourage good, hard discussions where people can learn empathy and humanity and all of that. So again, Kate, thank you so much for being here. Rashay, thank you for joining us on this. I'm sorry I forgot to introduce you in the beginning.
It's okay.
Thank you, everyone.
If you just want to throw like a the opening of Full House. It's great. Yeah,
sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time on A More Perfect Podcast. Bye, guys.